My dear students, this video contains a summary of Unit 2 of Module 2, Diffraction of Light. Contents include diffraction of light, that is explanation of this diffraction of light. Then two classes of diffraction, namely Fresnel and Fraunhofer classes of diffraction. Diffraction grating and the derivation of grating equation. Then a Rayleigh criterion for limit of resolution. And the last topic is resolving and dispersive power of a grating with expression.
The effects of diffraction are often seen in everyday life. The most striking examples of diffraction are those that involve light. For example, the closely spaced tracks on a CD or DVD act as diffraction grating to form the familiar rainbow pattern seen when looking at a disc. The hologram or a credit card is another example. Diffraction in the atmosphere by small particles can cause a bright ring to be visible around a bright light source like the sun or the moon. The shadow of a solid object using light from a compact source shows small fringes near its edges. All these effects are a consequence of the fact that light propagates as a wave. So what is exactly diffraction? Diffraction is the slight bending of light as it passes around the edge of an object and the spreading of light into the geometrical shadow of an obstacle. In other words, diffraction can be defined as the encroachment of light into the geometrical shadow of an object due to its property of bending around obstacles. The amount of bending depends on the relative size of wavelength of light to the size of the opening. This figure shows the phenomenon of diffraction of light. The light emitted by the source is allowed to pass through a slit. Then light bends around the corners of this obstacle, which is slit, and then encroaches into the geometrical shadow of the object, forming an intensity distribution pattern on the screen, which consists of alternate dark and bright fringes with unequal intensity. Diffraction of light can be explained using the wave theory of light proposed by Christian Huygens. The main postulate of Huygens' wave theory of light includes every point on the given wavefront at a given instant, called the primary wavefront, acts as a fresh source of new disturbance called secondary wavelets that travel in all directions with the velocity of light in the medium and with the same frequency as that of the primary wave. It has been proved experimentally that the phenomenon of diffraction is due to the mutual interference between the secondary wavelets from the same wavefront. In other words, it is the interference between light coming from different parts of any aperture. So this is the primary wavefront. Each point on this primary wavefront acts as a source of secondary wavelets. These are secondary wavelets. And these secondary wavelets emanating from different parts of the same slit superpose, and an intensity distribution pattern is formed on the screen, and this represents the corresponding diffraction pattern. Now let us see the difference between interference and diffraction of light. So interference is the meeting of two waves, whereas diffraction is the bending of waves around the corners of obstacles like slit. Interference occurs between waves originating from two or more but finite number of coherent sources, whereas diffraction occurs between the secondary wavelets originating from different points on the same wave. In an interference pattern, the minima are usually almost perfectly dark, whereas in a diffraction pattern, the minima may not be perfectly dark. In an interference pattern, all the maxima are of same intensity, whereas in a diffraction pattern, all the maxima are not of same intensity. The interference fringes are usually equally spaced, whereas the diffraction fringes are never equally spaced. Both interference and diffraction arise due to superposition effects, and often both are present simultaneously. Now let's see the different classes of diffraction. Diffraction phenomena can be classified either as Fresnel diffraction or Fraunhofer diffraction. Let's see Fraunhofer class of diffraction first. In Fraunhofer class of diffraction, the source of light and the screen are effectively at infinite distance from the obstacle or aperture or slit, which causes the diffraction. So here, as the source is at infinity, the wave reaching the obstacle are plane waves. And in Fraunhofer diffraction, as the screen is at infinity, the interference pattern produced by secondary waves on the screen is due to parallel rays. In practice, the arrangement for Fraunhofer diffraction is achieved by using two convergent lenses or convex lenses. The first one is to make the light beam parallel, and the second one effectively makes the screen receive a parallel beam of light. As the separation between the viewing screen and the aperture increases, the size of the diffraction pattern changes, but not its shape. So this figure represents the Fraunhofer class of diffraction. This represents the source and this is the screen, and both are kept at infinite distance from this slit with the help of two convergent lenses L1 and L2. On the other hand, in Fresnel diffraction, the source of light or the screen or both are at finite distances or measurable distances from the obstacle or aperture or the slit. So Fresnel diffraction is more general and it includes Fraunhofer diffraction as a special case. Fraunhofer class of diffraction is far field diffraction, where the central spot is always bright. Whereas the Fresnel class of diffraction is known as the near field diffraction, where the central spot can be either dark or bright depending on the number of Fresnel zones available. When there is a need to separate light of different wavelengths with high resolution, then a diffraction grating is the most often used tool. This superprism aspect of the diffraction grating leads to application for measuring atomic spectra in both laboratory instruments and telescopes. A diffraction grating consists of a system of closely spaced slits of equal width. If the number of slits in an obstacle is large, the sharpness of the pattern is improved, the maxima get narrower. A grating is constructed by making a large number of rulings on a transparent material like glass or plastic using a diamond pointer. A transmission grating consists of a system of equally spaced slits and is made by ruling a series of closely spaced parallel lines with a diamond pointer on an optically transparent sheet of material. Each slit is of width A. All slits are parallel to each other. The intervening opaque space between two successive slits is of same width and it is represented by B. Now let's define this grating element. So this is the grating which consists of a large number of parallel slits. The distance between the corresponding points of the adjacent slits is called the grating element and it is represented by D. So if the width of the transparent portion is A and the width of the opaque portion is B, then the grating element D is represented as A plus B. D is equal to A plus B. If there are capital N number of lines or slits per unit length, then the grating element is given by D is equal to 1 by capital N is equal to A plus B. The angular separation of the maxima is generally much greater because the slit spacing is so small for a diffraction grating. The diffraction grating is an immensely useful tool for the separation of the spectral lines associated with atomic transitions. It acts as a super prism, separating the different colors of light much more than the dispersion effect in a prism. The tracks of a compact disc act as a diffraction grating, producing a separation of the colors of white light. The grating equation is the governing equation of a transmission grating. Light incident upon a grating will be diffracted by the lines, producing a series of secondary wavelets emanating from the gaps between the lines as shown in this figure. As each diffracted wavefront emerges from a gap, it reinforces wavefronts from each of the other gaps. That is, there is constructive interference but only at certain angles. So we can easily calculate the path difference between the two light rays, which is equal to an integral multiple of lambda for getting maxima. That is, the path difference is A plus B sine theta or sine theta by n, which is equal to n lambda. So rewriting this equation, we will get sine theta is equal to small n capital N lambda, where theta is the angle of diffraction, small n is the order of the spectrum, capital N represents the number of slits per unit length, lambda is the wavelength of light used, and this equation is known as the grating equation. Now when white light is used, each wavelength will be diffracted through different sets of angles as defined by the grating equation. A plus B sine theta is equal to n lambda, or sine theta is equal to small n capital N lambda. The diffraction grating will thus disperse the light incident upon it into its component wavelengths as seen from this figure. So it can be seen that the zeroth order spectrum is undispersed, which follows from this grating equation with n is equal to 0, then theta is equal to 0. So if angle theta is equal to 0, that means those rays are undeviated. Hence light of all wavelength is undeviated, and that represents our central maximum. So central maximum is formed due to those rays which are undeviated from its original direction. Now the first orders of the spectrum, that means corresponding to n is equal to 1, fall on either side of this central maximum or zeroth order. So this is the zeroth order central maximum, and this represents the first order spectrum on both sides of this central maximum. So in the case of first order spectrum, we can see that the blue light is deviated the least. Blue light is deviated the least, whereas red light is deviated the most. This is because wavelength of red is greater than that of blue. Following the first order, we can see the second order, third order, fourth order spectrum, which appear successively wider and fainter. Therefore, the condition for maxima is a plus b sine theta is equal to n lambda, with n is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Where 0 represents the central maximum, 1 corresponds to the first order maximum, principal maximum on both sides of the central maximum. 2 or n is equal to 2 corresponds to the second order maximum on both sides of the central maximum, and so on. And the condition for minima is a plus b sine theta is equal to 2n minus 1 lambda by 2 with n is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. Where 1 corresponds to the first order minima on both sides of this central maxima. N is equal to 2 corresponds to the second order minima, and so on. For n is equal to 0 and theta is equal to 0, that actually corresponds to the central maximum. N is equal to 1 corresponds to the first order principal maxima on both sides of the central maximum. N is equal to 2 corresponds to the second order maxima on both sides of this central maximum, and so on. Similarly, in this equation, n is equal to 1 corresponds to the first order minima on both sides of the central maximum. N is equal to 2 corresponds to the second order minima on both sides of the central maximum. So this is the case when we use a polychromatic source of light or white light source. If we use a monochromatic source of light, then we will get a pattern like this. Now this represents a detailed figure showing the dispersion of white light using a grating. The different order maxima and minima and also central maximum are clearly visible in this figure. Now let us describe the dispersive power of a grating. The wavelength dependence in grating equation shows that the grating separates an incident polychromatic beam into its constituent wavelength components. That is, it is dispersive. Each wavelength of input beam spectrum is sent into a different direction, producing a rainbow of colors under white light illumination. If a parallel beam of monochromatic light is incident normally on the face of a plane transmission grating, bright diffraction maxima are observed on either side of the grating. These diffraction maxima satisfy the grating equation, which is given by a plus b sine theta n is equal to n lambda, where a plus b is actually d, which represents the grating element. Theta n represents the angle of diffraction corresponding to that particular order n. Lambda is the wavelength of light used. So for a polychromatic source, each order of the spectrum except the 0th order will consist of different wavelengths depending on the source. Thus the diffraction pattern will be symmetrical about theta is equal to 0. So theta is equal to 0 represents the central maximum. If d theta is the separation for wavelengths differing by d lambda, then the dispersive power can be obtained from this grating equation by this expression. Just differentiate this grating equation. Then we will get d theta by d lambda is equal to nn by cos theta. So this d theta by d lambda represents the dispersive power of a grating. Thus the dispersive power of a grating is defined as the ratio of difference in angle of diffraction of any two neighboring spectral lines to the difference in wavelength between the two spectral lines. It can also be defined as the angle of diffraction corresponding to a unit change in wavelength of light used. It is also clear from this expression that the dispersive power d theta by d lambda is directly proportional to capital N, which is the number of lines per unit length of the grating. It is also directly proportional to small n, which is the order of the spectrum. and d theta by d lambda is inversely related to cos theta, where theta represents the angle of diffraction. Now let us describe the resolving power. One can measure one's ability to distinguish fine detail by increasing the aperture through which one is looking, or by using light of shorter wavelengths. A diffraction grating is a device with many parallel slits very close together. When light passes through a diffraction grating, it is dispersed into a spectrum. The resolving power of a device used to separate wavelengths of light is defined as R is equal to lambda by delta lambda, where delta lambda is the smallest resolvable wavelength difference. Resolving power also represents how close two wavelengths may be and still be distinguished as separate ones. Thus, it is defined as the ability of an instrument to discriminate two wavelengths lambda and lambda plus d lambda. So, resolving power can also be defined as lambda by d lambda, which is equal to n prime, where small n represents the order of the spectrum and capital N prime represents the total number of slits on the grating. We can also represent resolving power as total aperture into dispersive power. There is a limit of resolution and it is determined by Rayleigh criterion. As we know, diffraction has the effect of turning sharp edges into fuzzy ones. This loss of detail leads to an inability to discern two sources of light which are very close to each other. Two sources of light will produce two diffraction patterns like this when they shine through the same slit. If the two sources are close together, the patterns will start to overlap. As long as the primary central maxima are distinct, it is obvious that there are two sources. But when the primary maxima overlap, it looks like the pattern of a single bright source. Confusion sets in when the maxima of one source enters the primary minimum of the other. The Rayleigh criterion is the generally accepted criterion for the minimum resolvable detail. The imaging process is said to be diffraction limited when the first diffraction minimum of the image of one source point coincides with the maximum of the other. Rayleigh criterion says that if the central diffraction maximum of one source with wavelength lambda coincides with the first minimum of the other source with wavelength lambda plus d lambda, then the two wavelengths are said to be just resolved. Thank you.